Hello friends, welcome to the Anatomy Hub. Today we'll study about the formation of gut tube. So how the gut tube forms. So you can say a, a formation of tube within a tube that body plan that arises through the body folding. So we'll start from the very beginning concept first. So at the end of the third week, the embryo is a flat, ovoid and trilaminar disc. During the fourth week, it grows rapidly, particularly in length, and undergoes a process of folding that that generates the recognizable vertebrate body form. Although some active remodeling of the tissue layers takes place, including localized changes in cell uh, shape within the body folds. The main force responsible for embryonic folding is the differential growth of various tissues. During the fourth week, the embryonic disc and the amnion that grow vigorously, but the yolk sac that hardly grows because the yolk sac is attached to the ventral rim of the embryonic disc. The expanding disc balloons into a three-dimensional, somewhat cylindrical shape, and the developing notochord, neural tube, and somites that stiffen the dorsal axis of the embryo. Therefore, most of the folding is concentrated in the thin, flexible outer rim of the disc. The cranial, caudal, and lateral margin of the disc fold completely under the dorsal axial structures and give rise to the ventral surface of the body. The area of the folding are referred to as a cranial or the head part, caudal or tail part, and lateral body folds. So, what you will say? You have to say that there is the cranial or head folding occurs, caudal or tail fold occurs, and lateral body fold occurs. The cranial and caudal folds are best viewed in mid-sagittal section that here you can see A, B, C, and the paired lateral body folds are best viewed in cross section that you can see at the okay. And although in this section these folds have different names, it is important to realize that these folds become continuous with one another as a ring of tissue at the position of the future umbilicus. The cranial rim of the embryonic disc, the thin area that you can see over here, that is located cranial to the neural plate, contains the oropharyngeal membrane, which represents the future mouth of the embryo. Cranial to the oropharyngeal membrane, a second important structure has begun to appear at this time, that is the horseshoe-shaped cardiogenic area, which will give rise to the heart. So that already I have covered in my video. Please go to this play button and you can watch that video how the heart develops. So here the cranial to the cardiogenic area, a third important structure forms, that is the septum transversorum. So this structure that appears on day 22 as a thickened bar of mesoderm. It lies just caudal to the cranial margin of the embryonic disc. The septum transversum forms the initial partition separating the coelom into thoracic and abdominal cavity and give rise to part of your diaphragm and the ventral mesentery of the stomach and duodenum. So forward growth of the neural plate that causes the thin cranial rim of the disc to fold under, forming the ventral surface of the future face, neck and chest. This process translocates the oropharyngeal membrane to the region of the future mouth and carries the cardiogenic area and the septum transversum towards the future chest. Starting on about day 23, a similar process of folding commences in the caudal region of the embryo as the rapidly lengthening of your neural tube and somites overgrow the caudal rim of the yolk sac. Because of the relative stiffness of these dorsal axial structures, the thin caudal rim of the embryonic disc, which contains the cloacal membrane, folds under and becomes part of the ventral surface of the embryo. When the caudal rim of the disc folds under the body, the connecting stalk which connects the caudal end of the embryonic disc to the developing placenta that is carried cranially until it merges with the neck of the yolk sac, which has begun to lengthen and constrict. You can see here at this figure, uh, this root of the connecting stalk contains a slender endodermal hindgut diverticulum called the allantois that you can observe here in figure, and the fate of the allantois is we'll discuss in another video. So simultaneously with the cranial caudal body folding, the right and left side of the embryonic disc they flex very sharply ventrally, constricting and narrowing the neck of the yolk sac that you can observe in here in this figure section D. At the head and tail ends of the embryo, these lateral edges of the embryonic disc make contact with each other and then they zip up towards the site of the future umbilicus. When the edges meet, the ectodermal, mesodermal, and endodermal layers on each side they fuse with the corresponding layers on the other side that you can observe here at the figure number. So as a result, the ectoderm of the original embryonic disc covers the entire surface of the three-dimensional embryo except for the future umbilical region where the yolk sac and the connecting stalk emerge. The ectoderm along with the contribution forms the dermamyoderms, lateral plate mesoderm, and neural crest cells that will eventually form the skin. The endoderm of the trilaminar embryonic disc is a destined to give rise to the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. When the cranial, caudal, and lateral edges of the embryo meet and fuse, the cranial and caudal portion of the endoderm are converted into blind ending tubes. The endoderm are converted into blind ending tubes, the future foregut and the hindgut. At first, the central midgut region that remains broadly open to the yolk sac that you can observe over here from A figure number A to D. However, as the gut tube forms, the neck of the yolk sac that is gradually constricted, reducing its communication with the midgut. By the end of the sixth week, the gut tube is fully formed and the neck of the yolk sac that has been reduced to slim stalk called the vitelline duct. The cranial end of the foregut that is kept by the oropharyngeal membrane which ruptures at the end of the fourth week to form the mouth. The caudal end of the midgut that is kept by the cloacal membrane, which ruptures during the seventh week to form the orifices to the anus and the urogenital system. The lateral plate mesoderm that splits into two layers, the somatic mesoderm, which associates with the ectoderm, and the splanchnopleuric mesoderm, which associates with the endoderm. So the space between these layers of originally open to the chorionic cavity, that when the folds of this embryo they will fuse along the ventral midline, this space that is enclosed within this embryo and that becomes intraembryonic coelom, that you can observe here in the serous membranes that is lining this cavity that form the two layers of the lateral plate mesoderm. The inside of the body wall that is lined within the somatic mesoderm and the visceral organs that derived from the gut tube, they are actually invested by this splanchnic mesoderm. As a result of the body folding, the tube within a tube body plan that is established. So this plan consists of an embryo body design composed of two main tubes, an outer ectodermal tube forming the skin and an inner endodermal tube forming the gut. The space between the two tubes is filled mainly with the mesoderm, the lateral plate mesodermal part of which splits to form the body cavity or coelom. The neural tube that is derived from the outer ectodermal tube becomes internalized during the process of neurulation. So here we have covered the general embryology, how the foregut forms. In our next video, we are going to see how this gut tube is divided into foregut, midgut, and hindgut, and how the rotation of gut occurs, and what are the derivatives of this gut tube. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and share with your friends so that they will also get benefit from it, and I will be inspired by your views and your comments.